The All Things TechIE podcast is a product of the Extreme Media Network. For advertising and sponsorship opportunities, please visit www.extrememedia.ie. That's XTREME media.ie.
Audio visual from an Irish perspective. This is the All Things TechIE podcast.
Welcome along, it's Justin Dawson. It is the All Things TechIE podcast, episode 26. We are rolling closer and closer to episode 30. I can't believe we've been doing this so long. We are now going to try and start doing it on a weekly basis for shows to be aired and sent out as live, as feeds rather, as episodes every Sunday in time for the hashtag of AV in the AM, because we are in Europe and ahead of America, which are the main AV in the AM AV tweeps, but we can do it, we hope.
Yay.
That's the voice of someone that you haven't heard or seen on the podcast for quite a while. It's the one and only Simon Lang. Simon, how are you?
Hey Justin, I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been an interesting few months, especially since we've been locked down here in Ireland. Lots of things have changed.
Lots of things have changed, right? And you know, I've been kept tight-lipped while Simon has been away in the background, and people have been asking where Simon has disappeared to, and I just kept on saying he was busy. Well, he was busy, listeners. I wasn't lying, but it was your news to announce. So are you announcing it on this program? Well, you've announced it on LinkedIn, so I guess you are.
Yeah, so I have now joined the creative technology group of that are across the world, but especially Creative Technology Ireland, as part of their installation team, to help them install some amazing projects. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've already been there 3 weeks, and wow, I've seen more projects in 3 weeks than I've seen in the last 13, 15 years in my AV career. So I'm really looking forward to it.
So let's make this clear to our listeners. You know, you were working with one of the top 4 financial firms. I will name them, PwC, and it's no hard feelings against the firm or anything like that. You just thought it was time to move on, and you are now entering an area where, like, you've pretty much said goodbye to live events, haven't you, Simon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, there might be a little bit of tech involved to help them find products and stuff, solutions for their events as they develop and what they offer now, especially now when they're changing so much. And that's one of our topics later on. We'll go down in a sec. No, it's mainly all on installation now. I'm completely over on the installation side.
I have to tell our listeners, for those who don't know, and if you don't know, well, shame on you. Simon and I, like, apart from being brothers from another mothers and all that type of bromance that goes on in the background, listeners, we used to work in the same firm, you know, sort of like Batman and Robin. We won't say who was who, but, you know, so we both separated our separate ways, and Simon has been there manning the ship in PwC for over 15 years. And you know, you say that you have started doing so many different projects for CT Ireland, but this is doing projects while in COVID-19 lockdown. You know, I'd say it was a weird feeling leaving a firm that after 15 years and doing it virtually.
Yeah, like you had your kind of going away party by Google Call, because hey, that's what they use. And it was like, yeah, kind of seeing everyone and everyone emailing. It was all email thanks versus the going around and giving everyone hugs and shakes. And it's even weird, like on a Friday, you shut down the computer, and that's it. You wipe your work phone, that's it. And a courier turns up the next day, next Monday or Tuesday, collects it, and it's gone. That's it.
Yeah, well, you know the way you get like presents and stuff like that when you physically leave a firm, and you know, thank you cards and everything. Did you just send people your Revolut account details and just go, yeah, Simon has requested €10 from each one of our employees?
I never thought of that, actually. That's quite a good use of Revolut. We should get a plug in there for Revolut.
Right, we're going to put a PayPal donation button on the bottom of this video for any of your former employees that you've helped over the past 15 years that want to like donate to the Simon's Kitty Fund, you know. But like, I have to remind all our listeners that Simon is usually the non-drinker, and I'm actually quite serious about this. I know I'm going to plug him right now. Joe Way once upon a time on the Higher Education podcast says he doesn't drink, and then the photos just came out on social media to say that. Well, what's this in your hand? You know, but Simon, I think the only time I've seen you drinking was at ISE, a couple of cocktails. Simon didn't drink at my wedding as best man. He doesn't drink much anyways. So this whole idea of like virtually leaving, there was no party really. Like I tried to say, right, Simon, hold up your can of Coke even when I cheers him when it finally was his last day in PwC and moving on to CT Ireland. But virtually again, because we haven't Simon and I haven't even met up since early February even.
Yeah, I think it was about that since we've
Have we
actually
actually
been
met
in.
up this year, Simon?
I don't know. That's just it. It's been one of those kind of like we talk so much, it might as well be in person.
That's it. You know, like at times it's just literally the Simon helpline. You know, Simon speaking is like, and I don't mean tech. It's just like literally we counsel one another, listeners. You know, and we've always have, and we always continue to be. And so yes, we are going to be starting to do this program on a weekly basis. Now, there's going to be times where Simon can't join us, but if Simon can't join us and you want to be a special guest on our program, and we don't just talk AV, we talk tech from an Irish perspective, you can visit our website, www.allthingstech.ie. That is the website, and you can find out how to subscribe to the program on your favorite podcast app, or you can view the videos on YouTube, on our YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, I actually listened to us back on Google's podcast app.
Wow! Yeah, there we go. We have a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about wearables because it was my birthday 2 weeks ago. Sorry, no, I'm losing track of what day it is and what date it is. It was my birthday during the week on Tuesday last, listeners. You know,
That's called the COVID memory effect, I think, because
it's
at
the
this
COVID
point,
memory effect. Yeah, like, you know, and not only that, like I did the COVID haircut. I'm just going to lean down to the webcam and put my head in the right direction away from the microphone. But like, yeah, I decided to do a Simon line on the haircut, but I keep the somewhat of a beard
you can
going
see
on.
I polished mine well. You can see by the light.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, like some of our fans in the UK were telling me to like, no, I should actually get the actual shaver blade and like to go totally bald. It's like, no, I don't think I'll go that far. But no.
Says I like sleeping in my own bed, not the spare bed.
Well, you know what? Like Jen actually just laughed at me. My wife just laughed at me when I like went into the bathroom and came out and went, "What did you do with my husband?" Because like I took so much off the hair. But I'm now realizing that hair grows back at different rates across your head. So like I have long bits of hair along my like sideburns. It's like, you know, it reminds me of that Simpsons episode of like shave those sideburns. It's like I can't. I can't get it the right length. So my local neighbor barber, when he opens, is going to have to try and fix my hair some way or another. It's like this was done once, never to be done again, listeners. And you know, unless you want to be like Simon and just like do the egghead look, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we were laughing today, because actually there's something for it will come up is the Facebook avatar. We were the way Facebook now is allowing people create their own avatars. So we were today building my own avatar, and it's like they actually do have someone that's a semi-bald,
Yeah.
like me, avatar. So it's like it's there. So
You know what? Actually, we're gonna let's start off with that topic then. You know, I have seen that Facebook avatar, Simon, and I thought like it was something like you can just they take your photo. It would be better if they could just take your photo and manipulate it and go, does this look like you? As sort of an
no,
AI.
they go through every step. Like you pick your hair, you pick your hair length, you pick your color, you pick it. You want lots of shades of color. That's after you go through the 20 different colors of skin. Don't
Yeah.
mind That's not even
But
to
do you
even
know
get
what,
down.
Simon? Didn't they introduce this at the absolute correct time when people have loads of time on their hands to just go, I'm going to create an avatar. I'm going to spend 3 hours creating my avatar and look at me on Facebook.
Now I had it where my 4-year-old wanted to create hers after I made mine, and the problem is you can't do it on the Facebook app because you have to do it for your own profile. Where I end up with looking like a 4-year-old, um, in my avatar. So that's the next thing. So I think there's actually even a bit of a something there for them for other people who don't want to just have it for Facebook.
Well, why we're talking about Facebook and how we went into that is I said birthdays and wearables, and I got myself a new wearable. You know, it was one of these moments where the wife asks you, what do you want for your birthday? And you think, what budget have I got? And then she decides to spoil you because I have a brilliant wife. And so I just decided, right, you know what? I don't know what I wanted. And I just started looking at tech on the local shops, online shops that are still delivering. And I just went, oh, I might get a wearable. So I have a smartwatch. I went with the Fossil. I know it's gone up to generation 5, but it was cheap to buy the generation 4 Fossil watch. I'm going to hold it up. I went with the silver band, which I had to get some links taken out of. And it's an Android. So like Simon, you have an Android one as well.
I have a Garmin.
Oh, you have a Garmin.
I have a Garmin. Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually thinking of going with the Garmins and then went with the Fossil watch simply because I had a Fossil years back when I was in my 20s. Now I'm really showing my age. I I had a Fossil watch before when I bought it in America when I was in California for a summer. But I really like this watch. The only thing is that I find it a bit sluggish at times going through the apps. I never thought that I would actually go down the route of going, I want a smartwatch because of the dial and because of the face and because of what you're trying to read on the apps. But the main thing is, both with you, Simon, and the Garmin and with the Fossil, we're working off Android, and with that, you integrate Google Wear into it. And yeah, do you know what? Like, I've had this watch running on my wrist now properly for the past 48 hours or so. I had to reboot it twice simply because it wasn't linking up fully with the Google Fit. It took me ages to get the Google Fit working. I don't know. Did you experience that when you?
I find yeah, sometimes the syncing goes where because I have to use the Garmin app because the Garmin doesn't sync very well, doesn't sync with Google Fit directly. So
Right.
I have to go through multiple steps to get into my Google Fit. So but the Garmin app does that sometimes where you just one of them just it will not sync. So I end up either rebooting my watch, or by turning the Bluetooth off and turn it back on, or I have actually in some cases had to go as far as rebooting the phone as well as the watch. But
Now, how
then
much did
but then it has some cool the cool thing I like about mine is it vibrates with you have notifications and stuff like that. And mine won't have apps like yours because mine's not an Aware OS environment.
Okay.
So
That's yeah.
mine's a Garmin. So I just get notifications on mine, and then it does all the health stuff because it's designed for sport people more, I guess, than just tech lovers and stuff like that.
Now I'm still getting to grips with it, as in, okay, since it had Wear OS on it, it literally took all the apps from my Samsung S7. I know I have an old mobile phone, listeners. I will be updating that in time once I save a couple of euro towards a new phone. But it literally linked that off the Wear OS and it matched it up. But when I went to the storage afterwards, I just realized just how much, after copying over different apps that can be used on the Wear OS, I'm down to something like less than 500 megabytes left on the actual watch. I was like, that adds up a lot of space. Now, maybe I can go through and go, okay, this is not really something I need on my watch. I can take them off or whatever. Banking, I don't use it for Google Pay, but I have just to notification of how much money I have in my account through the AIB app here. Allied Irish Bank have it as a wearable. Notifications, yes, I totally agree. It's very handy for any type of notifications. Do you look at your WhatsApp and your?
No.
No.
I just get I get notified there is a WhatsApp, but the one I actually find, because I actually don't, my phone is nearly in vibrate mode nearly 99% of the time. I don't have it with volume, and actually when you get a phone call coming through, I often don't feel it in the phone ringing, but I can feel it on my arm first. So
Yes.
that, from that point of view, it kind of is cool from that idea.
Do you use any of the? You say you don't really use it for fitness, but do you use it for anything like heart rate or
Oh yeah, like I still track my steps and stuff in it, and which is at the moment for the last month being way low. Like some days I haven't even crossed 1,000 steps.
Wow. Okay.
But
You need a toddler.
no, I just need to go outside and walk more. We were taking lockdown completely. Like the days I go over 1,000 are the days I go shopping.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
food. And we go for a walk on a Saturday or something like that.
Whereas when you have a 2.5-year-old toddler, I know Rebecca's older now, but when you have a 2.5-year-old toddler who needs to either get out of the house or he tears apart the house, you want to go running with him out on the. So like I actually did go over my 5,000 steps today, which was pretty impressive. I didn't think I would go over 5,000 steps. I went over 5,000 steps.
Yeah, because in my previous, when I was working in PwC, the aim was 10,000 a day, and I hit it every day because I was walking to the train, I was walking around the office, I was walking, and like some of the guys in there were even hitting 20 every day, no problem, like and stuff like that. So it does show, it does push you to do it, and I know I will have to come up with a new routine when or if we ever get back to the office in CT. So of how to kind of get, because I'll be driving more than walking, so I need, and public transport, so I need to get my steps up some other way, because so that's the fitness bit. I use it as a marker to kind of go, have I been moving enough today?
But do you use the Google fitness app to link in with your phone?
Kind of. So what happens is I have to, because Garmin can't sync straight to Google Fit, I have to use Strava, the running app, and then the running app links any runs or kind of walks that you indicate as walks.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
But the thing is, I also use a sleeping app. So actually, mine's quite good for tracking your sleep. So it tells you if you got into a deep sleep or if you got into, you're still a light sleep, if you're moving a lot. So I'm more curious about how I'm sleeping than I actually am how much I'm walking.
That's one of the questions I was going to ask you. Do you wear your watch while sleeping then?
Oh yeah, my watch only comes off when I need to shower.
Okay, yeah.
But I could actually wear it in the shower if I really wanted it, but I don't. In that kind of way.
Yeah. I'm a bit nervous of wearing, even though this is just something that I've always been nervous about, is people saying, "Oh yeah, your watch is waterproof." Well, is it really waterproof? I don't know. I'm just after spending. Well, it was a present, but like it was reduced from 250 odd euro to I think 170. I think we got the watch for. How much was the Garmin watch when you bought it?
I don't remember, but it was expensive, and like it was around the 100-ish mark. Yeah. And yeah, but I wanted one kind of because we're, as a family, we're big into park run.
Yes,
and
of course,
and that's where we wanted to kind of get it, just to kind of do that. And I'm also just for tracking my steps, and at the time I couldn't go for the 200 plus watch, which would have been like one of the Samsung Gears or one of those kind of, which I would have called top of the range.
But even using a Samsung phone, the Samsung Gears don't interest me really, because I might change this phone to a non-Samsung. I know probably a Samsung Gear will work on Wear OS and you could use it on any phone, but a Samsung Gear will be aimed with their own products predominantly, I would imagine. That's why I went with a Fossil. But with park runs, Simon, I haven't, now this is my lack of knowledge. can you go off and wear your watch without your mobile phone being in your pocket, have a run, and will it then report back properly?
Yes. Yes. So basically on the watch, I indicate like you basically say this is you're starting to run.
Yes.
So it starts tracking you from there onwards. Then it kicks in the GPS on the watch.
Okay.
So the GPS then starts kind of. So I think yes, it's probably better with your phone because you can probably it can sync there and then more.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, if you're only running 5K or a fast walk or whatever that you're doing, it's well able to handle it. And then you just sync it syncs up automatically when your phone comes back into range and stuff like that. But like there's versions of mine where you can have Spotify on it, so it's more like yours, where you could actually plug your headphones straight into your watch or Bluetooth
Yes.
your wireless headphones off
Now,
your
this is where
watch.
I'm really curious to find out that if I have my phone in my pocket and then I have my watch and they're Bluetooth together, can I Bluetooth the 13 as Bluetooth
I
headphones?
I actually used to wonder, and I still do, but no, I use Bluetooth headphones on the way home on the train, and I have my watch, so it's nearly like it's
It's
Bluetoothing in
sync.
the background.
Okay. Okay. No,
But
that
but but in the sense of if my watch starts syncing, it doesn't mean my music stops.
mm,
They both just keep running in parallel, and it just seems to be it's nearly like a silent Bluetooth. That's not the proper term, but it's one of those ones I am curious about. How does it do that?
yeah. Is it doing a daisy chain some way, shape, or form?
Mm.
But we'll probably find that out in a different type of episode when we look and delve deeper into how Bluetooths talk to each other. But I might do a separate unboxing video that I'll put up on the website as well. But things that I was happy enough with, like I have the box. Yeah, the manual was very straight, simple, as in this is your watch, this is how you download the Wear OS, and then they left you to it. There's three buttons. The middle one is for the main apps and scrolling through it. Then you can do your favorite buttons on the top and bottom. But it doesn't really explain in any of the manuals that came with the box how to do it. And then you have to go off and search the internet and search their websites, and
Yeah.
YouTube videos is where you find out most of this information, which I always think is poor. I think the information should be given more in the box. The other thing that I would, yes, okay, it's Wear OS by Google, so it's integrated with Google, but it's not a Google product. Fine, right? But if you're buying a watch that has these metal types of connections, and the bracelet is too big, you think they would give you the tool to adjust the actual bracelet instead of having to go to a jeweler's, which I had to do today. And of course, through COVID-19, trying to find a jeweler's that's actually open, that can actually fix it, was quite frustrating, especially for on day two, and you're scared that you're going to lose a €200 watch, and I'm again YouTubing how to fix the actual chains in a watch, and it's like, you know what, I don't want to damage this. I'm going to wait and I'm going to find out. So yeah, that's the new tech toy. That would be my pros and cons of it. I will probably do an unboxing and some extra tips of it. What one model watch is yours? Is Garmin
Forerunner 3, I think it is.
Forerunner 3. Okay, we're going to do probably a comparison as well, and we'll put some things up on our show notes, which is also available on the All Things TechIE website, allthingstech.ie. Right, Vodafone, Simon, finally decides, like, as a mobile carrier in Ireland, that it will actually release the hold on your amount of data being used. And you know what? Like, we've brought this up, like, at the beginning of COVID-19, saying, why has any mobile phone company got any limitations at the moment with regards to,
Like compared to some of the other ones here in Ireland, they more or less at the beginning of it immediately released the limits.
Mm.
And so it just seems a little bit like, oh, now our competitors are doing well. we better kind of join suit versus kind of like actually leading from the front, being, well, we're one of the biggest operators in Ireland. Why aren't we kind of leading off? Because as you say, people are stuck at home. Now they are, of course, starting to get out a bit more, but still, back then is when they needed it.
I love to have a stat, and I think we'll have to try and do a poll or something, or put up on a Twitter poll, even on our All Things TechIE Twitter page as well, or our hashtag there. Actually, we better give out our hashtags. Simon's using it at the bottom of his Zoom meeting at Simon Lang AV, just to remind him, because he always forgets what his Twitter handle is. At Justin or Dawson is mine, and you can get the All Things Techie podcast handle as AV Tech Junkies. But I would love to put out a poll and just say how many people are actually still doing just normal voice calls on a mobile phone versus the virtual calls. And I don't just mean businesses. I mean, like, in general, people are locked down. Would you rather, like, you're calling your family most of the time, Simon, and is it a voice call or is it a video call? You have your mum and dad. Okay, you got them the Facebook. Well, your brother got them the Facebook portal for as a present, so that he can communicate while he's over in America. Do they understand it? Like, do they? Are they come? I know before COVID-19, you set it up, but I know we talked off mic about getting my mother-in-law, father-in-law one of these devices, and then I looked at it and said, it's not really something that you can send them in the post and say, there you go set it up.
No, like there's a little bit of setting up involved and stuff like that. And yeah, so from my point of view, yes, there's still nearly all video calls. But then, like, if I'm just having a conversation with my mom, it's normal phone call. But I actually find there's a lot more people ringing me on WhatsApp audio.
Okay. Yeah.
And stuff like that. People are using their data because usually most people have a lot of data, so or if they're at home, they're on Wi-Fi, so they don't care. So it's basically making a free phone call then from that perspective. So yeah, I'm starting to see a lot more kind of that kind of calling. Like, even from a work perspective, like I have a company phone, but 99% of all our calls are on Teams.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
And back at your computer doing it.
yeah,
You're
or no, I
not.
actually use Teams through my phone as well, actually
Would
quite a
you?
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends what I'm doing at that moment. Like, so I pick and choose whichever, but I'm still using I'm still using it's virtual
Right.
versus
Okay.
use traditional telephone calls.
Well, we talked about Zoom. We talked about Teams. Now, you use Teams. That's a new product. Teams. You use Teams as as part of working with CT. I haven't played around with Teams, but I just find that everything I've used bar Zoom has had lags in it. It will lag, whether it be Skype, whether it be WhatsApp with a couple of people on as a video. The one thing that has been flawless for me and never had any problem, and we're using it right now, we won't lie on it, is Zoom.
Zoom seems to be up there as the best one on the market, where most people are kind of going from a point of view of it's just the quality of the video. The thing that got them the publicity was the gallery view. I think that's where it ramped up its popularity. I guess from a technology point of view, it just works. And then there's like Google Meet joined the gallery, had their own gallery view only recently, about 4 weeks ago. They announced that, and so they're
I'm
chasing
surprised
that.
Zoom didn't pattern the idea of the gallery view, and do you know what? People are complaining all the time about, oh, I hate Zoom or whatever, but the whole thing, and it's been written about a couple of times in different articles. Again, we'll stick them up on the show notes about Zoom fatigue. And it's not just Zoom fatigue, it's virtual meeting fatigue. I sat in a couple of meetings for work during the week, and I'm sure you're the same, Simon. You sit in a meeting, right? You can't look down or switch off. You're looking at a screen, which is already bad for the eyes. And an hour of sitting, talking this way, Even us talking on this podcast for an hour looking this way, it's tiring on the eyes.
Yeah.
Apart from talking about topics that we love to talk about, you're mentally drained after an hour of talking like this. But on that basis, people have been complaining about the fact of this whole virtual screen of several boxes in a row. Like there's I'll stick up the parody on the. I have it on my mobile phone. I have to remind myself of the story here. Hold on a minute. And this is me looking down, guys, at my mobile phone. And
Well, you're looking up. So for example, for some meetings, what I do to try and get around that fatigue is I'm not attending by camera. I'm only listening by audio. So I use I use my phone with my headphones in. So I'm not actually, you can sit back and kind of relax a little bit and look around the room, and you're not looking at the at your computer screen. So sometimes I find if I have a day where I'm call after call after call after call, it is nice just to kind of give a break that you can actually not be looking at the computer screen. Where I do get it, like we're on a video call, so we're looking at each other. But I find even a lot of the people attend the calls I'm on, over 50% don't have their cameras turned on.
peeve absolutely grinds my gears. It's like, especially if they're businesses and you know that they're using a laptop that has a webcam. I do not understand why they will not share their webcam. Like, okay, we're all in this together. It's COVID-19. I think I've mentioned this in another podcast recently. It's COVID-19. A dog can walk into. I've been on training conferences in the past 2 weeks or so. Actually, I have a feeling that one of the Zoom founders' calls had his dog wanting to be let, or one of the main directors of Zoom. He was talking about Zoom and upgrades to the product, and he said, "Sorry, I can't continue at the moment." Actually, it was during the Rave AV did a couple of shows, and one of the Zoom directors, his dog was in the background and crying to be let out to go to the toilet. This is the norm. We are working from home. We are working remotely. Breaking news, like my child could start crying while we're recording at the moment. We're working from home. I don't understand why people won't. They have their microphones muted. Why they won't share their webcam? I don't get it.
Yeah. And other times I understand it's like bad internet connections, and like there is all those kind of tips of that's the first thing to go. But not everyone is nuts. Like nowadays, most people have broadband in their house.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, so this is where Zoom I think is quite good, because Zoom just is a bit like YouTube. It starts reducing the quality, but you can still continue on with your call.
I have to read this parody. It's from @Angie Maxwell 1. She says, "Found the kid playing with her dog instead of Zooming with her teacher. She told me not to worry. She looked at a screenshot of herself paying attention, then cut the video and replaced it with the picture. It's a gallery view of 20 kids, mom. They can't tell. She is 10. Yes. But like, you know what? I joked with my sister, who is a principal. It's like, I wonder is any of the kids in her class doing similar while she's doing her maths lessons, via Zoom or whatever the case may be. But it's, like, if they did kill the third-party applications on Zoom recently, where you can't use virtual software, but there is ways and means of getting around it. And I was always thinking, well, I could just always record myself looking like I'm paying attention, and just join a meeting and just press record and go off and make myself a cup of tea and just have that on loop for working in the background. Have you ever thought of doing that yourself, Simon? No, you're too old.
No, I haven't. No, yeah, that's me. I'd more than likely end up stick the headphones in with the phone, mute it, and walk down the stairs, make the tea, and be still listening. And that regularly happens. I actually hear it on calls. There's a person you can hear them down stirring the cup and all like that, while not muting themselves. But so that's I think that's COVID-19 part of life.
Yeah, it is. And I've heard different people saying and asking the questions. I think Gary Kay actually asked the Zoom founder the question: will there ever be a virtual meeting software made where the camera's on all the time, the employees like supposed to be working, just and then they can just join the meeting at a higher quality, high definition, like it be low bit rate when they're just working away until they're brought into a call. And I think that's a bit Big Brother like. But you know what? In Zoom, if you have an account and you have the desktop app running, you can see if someone's in a call or not.
Mm.
Just like you have the green and the red buttons in Google Chat, Google Meets, whatever. Yeah,
Teams is the same.
yeah.
So Teams, straight away, and you can actually, the one I thought was quite interesting in Teams, you can see someone's on a call, and you can actually also see if they're presenting.
Oh, right.
So it actually comes up as, it says presenting
Okay. Yes.
when you hover over them. And it's like, whoa, because I didn't use Teams until 3 weeks ago, so it's all new to me. So it's actually, I'm still trying to explore it and work it out. And Teams has virtual backgrounds as well.
Yeah. Well, we can't knock the fact that Zoom had these ideas first.
No.
And but do you find, Simon, we're going back to like the fact of old people using virtual meetings and software. Had your parents not been set up with this device, the Facebook portal, by you, do you think they would be able to do these virtual calls?
Yeah, I think they were using. I think Messenger, Facebook Messenger is probably the one most older people seem to be au fait with. But then I would know other groups where we used to meet physically,
Yeah.
church groups and stuff like that. And a lot of the people, there hasn't been any church group meetings since the lockdown because none of them are comfortable enough with Zoom or Skype or any of them to be able to do it. And I think that's the sad part. So I think most of those have been kind of reduced to WhatsApp chat groups.
Yes, yeah. But and talking
Instead
of which,
of
WhatsApp has now increased from four grade, so yourself and three other people, to an 8 grade. And I'm thinking, how does that work? Is that I haven't tried it because I haven't yet.
no.
But apparently 8 people can now join a WhatsApp video call. So are they going to start doing it like the person who's talking will be seen on screen? Who knows? That's I
That's like
think
the spotlighting in Zoom and stuff like that.
yes,
Where you
spotlights,
kind of
yeah.
have and stuff like that.
I
Yeah.
haven't tried it, but I must actually just get 8 people together and actually try it and see how it actually works.
But when you think about the technology behind WhatsApp, is probably the same technology they have behind Facebook Messenger, since they're both Facebook companies.
Yes, exactly. Now, and Facebook have come out with, and I better get the name of this correct. Facebook launched virtual meetings, and it is called. I have to remind myself. Facebook answers to
Messenger rooms.
Messenger Rooms. Yes, yeah. We could have guessed that name. Messenger Rooms. Have you played around with Messenger Rooms yet? I haven't.
No, like in the sense of, I suppose, in one way, that's probably what the portal is doing.
Mm.
It's playing on because you're calling over Messenger, and most of our calls is 4 people. I've never gone on beat more than 4 people, so I'd be curious to see what a Messenger room is in
50
terms of
people.
50 people.
allowed
Okay,
to drop in whenever they like. It is doubling the capacity of video calls on WhatsApp from 4 to 8, adding video calls to Facebook dating if you want to go to online dating during COVID-19. And
there's Facebook dating.
apparently so. And adding a new live streaming features to both Facebook and Instagram. See, my actual worry of these type of Facebook Messenger rooms and stuff is if someone accidentally presses the button to go live and they're talking about things personally, and it's shared with a much wider audience. And do you know what? Facebook has had its problems with security and content that they have that shouldn't have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I take it with
But
caution.
like in one way, do you remember, like if you think about it, maybe 10 years ago, normal, I'm going to call it PBX telephoning was the
Mm.
standard. Then conference calls came in, by normal audio conference calls came in. Then video conference calls came in where multiple people could video call. Then your WhatsApping came in. You could have a WhatsApp group came in. You could have a messenger group. Then you could have video groups. And is this really just the next thing in terms of communication for us?
Yeah.
That, okay, it's now video groups.
Mm.
So what's the next thing? Holographic parties?
Oh, do you know what? We're not going to say it, Simon, because I've refused. Like I'm like Joe Way with AV as a service must die, and then he's getting to accept it. But I refuse to accept virtual reality and wearing headsets. We're not going to be wearing things over our eyes. It's a myth, guys. We're never going to be
No.
start joining conferences
I,
over
I, I
virtual.
agree. I think I'm nearly thinking it's going to be nearly like holograms in the sense of you're either going to have an actual pad,
Mm,
or there's going to be that the person is by visual in front of you without you having to wear glasses. Because I
yeah.
think TVs are going to eventually go that way where you can watch 3D movies without having to wear 3D glasses. That there's going to be something built into the TVs.
Well, you sent me a great video as you were working as part of CT, and it was actually research for work as well. And
Mm.
some of the music videos that you've been showing me, Simon, is outstanding. Like I know I have an interest in that type of end from the broadcasting master's degree and stuff like that when I've been at ISE and seeing how actual TV studios are set up, but like especially like the likes of Dancing with the Stars, Dancing on Ice, stuff that I know that
Mm.
your company now does a lot of with the lights and stuff. Even the road shows that CT has had in the RDS has shown the sound and the lighting. But like how they can actually project on the floors, how they can make it a whole immersive experience, 360.
That was the
And,
Katy Perry one,
oh
Daisies, for
my
she did
goodness,
for
that's
American Idol.
amazing. Yeah.
Like that, and that's it. And actually, this is the bit of techie that most people love. If you're really into tech, is you see something and then you just get talking with your buddies and you're trying to work out how they did it.
And
And
before
that's
you know it,
really,
you
yeah,
spent the whole day. And it's like I have so much work to do, and I have figured
yeah.
out.
And that's part, but that's how I think techie grows. It's like
Yeah.
I've seen something. How do I do that myself? Or and maybe it's a bit like someone did Zoom.
Mm.
Someone in Google went, how is Zoom doing that? Oh, Google said we better do something like that. Oh, Teams said we better do something, and that's really how companies and people grow and ideas grow and
But do you
things
know
like that.
what, Simon? I'm going to say it. I'm actually, yeah, I am going to say it on the show because this is just me. I used WebEx way back when, as did you. I think WebEx has fallen down the chain of what people are using, big time.
Yeah,
You
I,
know,
I actually saw an article on it just yesterday to do with some of the hospitals in Dublin,
mm,
not Dublin, Galway. Galway, WebEx have made a big push in one of the university hospitals, I think in Galway, for about connecting relatives that were stuck indoors, stuck in hospitals, and
too
connecting.
business-like. It's too clunky. Well,
Yeah,
I use WebEx. I remember it being clunky and the controls. You know,
it has improved. It's still not Zoom slick.
mm,
It's still I still think it's an enterprise platform.
yeah. House Party. I'm glad I can say I've never used House Party. The app for virtual hangouts with friends on Facebook has previously closed to abandon the project last year. I don't even know House Party was owned by Facebook. Is it?
I
Is it?
didn't even know anything about it. I did hear about like virtual pubs doing some kind of virtual pubbing, but I don't know if that's all through Zoom or something like that. But I've never heard of heard of this one. There was a pub in Dublin doing something recently during the pandemic. It was like they were having pub nights, and there was this application they were using for people where they had guest bands on and everything.
As you can do when you're doing Zoom meetings like this,
Mm.
or virtual meetings. But the other one that's fallen down the list, which is a Google product, is Google Duo. Do you know anyone that's using Google Duo?
I have it on my phone, and you look through it and you see all the people that have it, but I don't know anyone that uses it.
Has anyone ever called you on Google Duo?
No,
No.
we haven't even called each other.
No, exactly. Yeah, and we were talking to earlier on about the bromance, but we have never used it. I know it came out, and I said, okay, I'll download. I think WhatsApp is, it's encrypted. People send messages. It's much, much, much more popular than doing a normal text message. I can't remember when the last time I actually sent a normal text message.
The only time I get text messages now is when you're doing these authentication stuff. That's like, oh, your bank sends you a PIN code or something like that. Most of them.
Was it? Are you really Simon Lang? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of. But yeah, I think WhatsApp has really helped excel the older generation. If we want to go back to your original thing in this, I've like seen so many WhatsApp groups just emerge of people who would be isolated.
And again, it goes back to the question of, can old people understand this? And you're talking about WhatsApp, and there is a button just to press, and they can do a video call. And you know what? It links in perfectly with the fact that people actually think that, and not just old people. I know people of our age that think WhatsApp is just SMS.
Mm.
But it's not, and like literally like have it as messages and just think that SMS and WhatsApp are the same thing. So yeah, I totally agree. Zoom gets a bashing because Zoom just grew in size during COVID-19, but like some absolutely crazy stories that come out, and then you go, it could happen on any platform. First of all, a son killed his father during a Zoom chat. Son kills father during Zoom video chat in a New York state. A 72-year-old man has been stabbed to death by his son in New York State during the Zoom video chat with 20 other participants, police say. Dwight Powers was attacked by his 32-year-old son, who was then jumped out of a window and fled in Long Island's Amityville village. And you say, what? This was a Zoom call? What? But, we've heard of Facebook Live. I think the point is, if the technology is there is always going to be some people that will abuse it. It doesn't matter if you're Zoom, if you're Skype, if you're Facebook Live, if you're Google Live. People are saying, oh, this should be cut down instantly. How?
Yeah. It's not like someone sitting there, like if you're in a live studio TV environment where you often are running maybe 5 to 10 seconds behind the actual live broadcast,
and they press
you have a big button on the console, you smack it, and that's it.
And I had to press it as a sound technician with national radio stations way back when in my 20s. I did smack that dumb button, and much to the producer's bemusement, it's like, well, no, that cannot go out on air. Sack me, yeah.
So it like it's when it's all personal. How can someone be sitting watching everyone? Now, like, unless you want someone like the NSA sitting there watching all your Zoom calls.
Yeah, it's like it goes back to like the Simpsons movie. We finally found a fugitive. Woohoo! The system works. Yes, that scene in the Simpsons.
Which is actually kind of funny because you're talking about the guy who stabbed the parent live on Zoom.
Yes.
And then the next thing we have on our list is talking about the person sentenced.
Yeah.
The death by Zoom, where courts have been using Zoom to keep the court system going, so they're not going to be backed up.
In Singapore, like while I was writing the show topics, I was thinking to myself, I wonder did they also use the chat function as like, yes, guilty, as in guilty. Just in case you can't hear me on the Zoom call, he is guilty. He is sentenced to death. Watch it so he can live. No, he is sentenced to death. You know, how many times do they have to say it as an approval, I wonder? Putting Gennason, 37, received a sentence on Friday for his role in a drug deal that took place in 2011. Human rights groups argue that pursuing the death penalty at the time when the world was being gripped by a pandemic was wrong. I can't pronounce that word. The vast majority of court hearings in Singapore has been adjourned until at least the 1st of June, when the city's current lockdown period is due to end. Surely he's not going to be sentenced to death before June the 1st, I would imagine. I wonder why they couldn't just wait off and do, when you're sentencing someone to death, how they couldn't wait off till the 1st of June. But there you go. There is where, and again, once more, it could be anyone's virtual meeting software.
So here's an interesting sum. This is an article that the Irish courts just sat on the 20th of April. So that's a month ago. So they were locked down. So on the 20th of April, courts opened again in Ireland, and the Supreme Court and various other courts, and they're using PEXIP.
Oh, very interesting.
As their video virtual meeting rooms in that, because so then basically anyone can join on using any platform to it. So they're not forcing anyone to use a particular one, and then they also have live video link ups to the prisons, so the prisoners aren't even being transported to a court.
But
so
surely this software has already been there even before COVID-19, because you will have people that are in vulnerable situations that have to report back to the courtrooms.
I presume so, but maybe it sounds like it was more on a case by need versus by default, that it was there all the time. So this is an article from the courts.ie. It's an article, I just happened to Google it while we're talking here, and it lists basically the different platform, but this is the main one they use is PEXIP, which is PEXIP.
Yeah,
I've
seen that at ISE. Yeah, it's PEXIP is like the Blue Jeans as well approach, that any platform can link you in and connect together. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So that's what I hear they're using here in Ireland.
Interesting.
Yeah. System.
Which it brings us on to the next topic. Is like, how do we go back to normal? And I mean, at work, will we ever go back to the normal 5-day weeks?
I don't know. It was quite interesting because I think there was another article you linked me to talking about Facebook and Twitter and New Zealand, and New Zealand is going to a 4-day week and stuff like that for going back. But here in Ireland, yes, I think people are dying to get back to work, but trying to keep 2 meters apart in, say, an open plan office environment is going to be really hard to do, and keep that distance for, I don't know, it's at least going to be till Christmas or plus. It could be even to mid next year.
Factors that come into place beforehand, and I know this is a program or a podcast that talks technology, but before we even set foot on transport, our schools, our creches, I shared with you during the week off Mike what my creche is doing. There's so many factors that hold employees from going back to work at a normal routine, and this is where we are going to be in the long haul for these type of virtual meetings, I believe.
Now, but even you think about like a Dublin bus here normally takes about 60 odd people. I think it's down to about 20 in the current restrictions. So they can't even transport the same numbers of people into work. So, but I actually don't think I'm going to be working in an office at least until next year.
And do you know what? I believe I will be similar. There's some things that I might need to collect on campus, but and it brings us on to the fact that Cambridge is going to go fully online for a whole year. And unfortunately, I sent you the link to the Financial Times, and I don't have a subscription to the Financial Times, but it's it's for the whole year. So it,
Mm.
it's people. It's a live or die attitude between small businesses, medium-sized businesses, higher education. We're all having to adapt it to this technology world.
But do you think would maybe even for large businesses, this might be a chance for them to reduce their footprint in terms of buildings that they need, that they're paying millions for rent for,
Yeah.
where you can have 50% to 70% of your workforce at home, and the only time they ever visit the building is when they have important meetings that they need to meet in person, and that your workforce is going to be nearly a virtual workforce.
Well, even if people are thinking that this COVID-19 might disappear and come to the reducing the ore number as we keep on hearing, it might come back, it might not. People might contract it and then be okay the second time round. They might not. Putting all this temporary perspex around the place, social distancing at 2 meters, allowing some people to go back to work on certain days versus it's costing employers rather, very little to no money to turn around to their employers and say, if when possible, work from home.
Hmm.
It's the employees' internet. And 9 times out of 10, I would imagine it's the employees' equipment, and unless they've been provided with laptops, but they usually I'd say 9 times out of 10, employees using their own internet connection to connect.
Yeah, and I think people who would have been working for companies that were before all this hit worked from home would have probably had their company pay for their internet. But as you say, I reckon most people are using their own personal internet, and most people are probably still not even going to run over their limits because most broadband companies don't have limits.
Yeah, they say they do, but they don't.
But so I think we're never going to really run that. But I agree. I think it's going to be a lot more people working from home, people using laptops. Are going to be home offices and stuff like that. Has become part of normal in everyone's homes.
Do we actually see the AV industry? It's definitely changing, and the Avixa reports show globally how it's changing. Well, is this the death of live events as we know it? Do you think, Simon? Both, like, we worked in a financial firm where we were doing breakfast, lunchtime, and evening events nearly on the same day. Do you think that's going to ever return to normal, or is it going to be all over live stream webinars and maybe have a technician at the back of the room or in a control booth or even a control booth doing a pan tilt zoom to cameras, IP cameras remotely from the comfort of their home? We're talking about our radio stations here in Ireland are being broadcast mostly from people's houses. TV shows are being broadcast from people's houses.
Yeah.
Is this a new norm? Is this going to just continue on for until they find a cure? I think it is.
But then I still think this expectation is going to go back to the way it was in January or December when the cure and everything is found. But I don't think it's ever going to go back that way. I think this is it's just the next thing we're going to be doing. It's going to be a new way of working. We're going to have to work out what way is best working. Maybe we're going to be working on split shifts that we work in the office every Tuesday, Thursday. And then the following week it's every Wednesday. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or for a whole month I'm working from home. For a whole month I'm in the office. Or I think these things are all going to be just new ways we're going to have to work out how to work. For some people, I still think it's a big issue is childcare.
Yeah.
The thing is, for people to be able to work like normal, they need their kids to be minded. So where you have two parents working, they need someone to be able to look after their kids. So I get why some people need to get childcare up and going again.
Mm.
But I still, because people, or less companies are going to have to work out, well, really we're paying you for 100% time, but really on average we're only going to get you 75% of your time because you've kids to be looking after as well.
But definitely one thing that has to have changed throughout this all is I don't think there's some. There was an article I read. I'll have to try and find it and put it up on the show notes as well. It's like, is this the death of the manager as we know it? Because everyone's managing their own time in a different context. And I said, no, I think we still need a leader and we still need a manager to manage things. But it's the death of the micromanager. You know, no one can be micromanaged in this type of environment. You know, because no one's going to stick up with it for being micromanaged in this type of environment. You know, the world has changed.
And you can't go around to everyone's house and check, are you on? Like, that goes back to your comment about the Zoom camera on all the time. That you have it on the person and it proves they're sitting in front of their laptop working.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't do that. It's just not feasible. Because then they're not working because they're sitting there watching their whole team working.
Let's move away from COVID-19 because I think a lot of our listeners are sick of hearing about COVID-19 and technology, and talk about some world record speeds. Australia records the highest internet speed. We were talking about this before we started the show. How is the question? As I clicked the link to try and open up the story, it comes from BBC News. Australia records the fastest internet speeds ever at a speed of 44.2 terabits per second. That's 44.2 terabits per second. To just give you a comparison, I probably have about maybe 60 or 70 megabytes. This is terabytes per second. Why do you need this speed? At this speed, users could download more than 1,000 high-definition movies in less than a second. According to Ofcom, the average UK broadband speed is currently around 64 megs per second, a fraction of what that record-beating speed is. Researchers said they achieved a new record speed by using a device that replaces around 80 lasers found in some existing telecom hardware with a single piece of equipment known as a microcomb. The microcomb was planted into and tested outside the laboratory using existing infrastructure similar to that used by Australia's national broadband network.
I'm just trying to I'm looking at the maths here, or not maths, yeah. So a megabyte is, I'm going to say 10 to the power of 6, and a terabit is 10 to the power of 12. So it's basically double.
Yeah. And then you multiply that again by 44. It is, like like when you can have that much speed as simple as a click will take you a second and have everything downloaded when you click on it done. It brings a whole total different meaning of like double clicking on something, because you wouldn't want two full movies of a couple of gigabytes on your drive. It's not working. I'm clicking on the link. It's not working yet. Check your downloads folder. You have the video downloaded 50 times because you clicked on the 50 times.
And I suppose it's a bit like if you move on, like 4K videos are going to become standard. We're talking about 8K videos already. So they're running into the gigabytes already anyway to download. So yeah, here, another way to describe it is a terabit is 1,000 gigabytes.
Yes. So, and we're talking about our normal broadband speed being megabytes, not even a gig. We'd be lucky if we get a gig internet speeds here
At home. Yeah.
At home in Ireland. Yeah. Now, having said that, like I had such excitement. Okay, we're talking about the COVID. I'm going to talk about COVID-19 again. I'm sorry, listeners, but the COVID-19 excitement at home for me is watching vans going up and down the street, especially if they're delivery vans. I go, oh my God, are they delivering something to me? Are they delivering something to me? Did I order anything? This is my sad life as we're locked
I
at
actually
home.
thought that was just us.
Yeah,
We do the same.
yeah. So it's not just me. Thank God for that. But the other day, a van pulled up and out they were pulling wire underneath the street. And I'm like, what are they pulling wire for? And Jen, my wife, turned around and said, why don't you just go out and ask them, you nosy Parker? And then I found out that they are improving the broadband in the area. So will I get faster speeds? I'm not going to get Australia's lightning speeds, no. But will I get faster speeds? Hopefully. But like my top speed is about 50 to 60 megs. Having 44 terabytes of speed is just lunatic. It's crazy. Netflix is charging for dead accounts. This is bizarre. I read this headline, Simon, and then I thought to myself, how do people get charged for dead accounts? I don't blame Netflix on this.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. If you are stupid enough to leave a renewing account live on your direct debits, it's your fault. Simple as. The streaming giant says hundreds of thousands of users fall into that inactive category and will now start suspending them. It said the move would save forgetful customers money. Well, that's the key word: forgetful customers. You didn't cancel the subscription. It is your fault.
And I think they're probably it's probably a good citizenship kind of thing from Netflix to be seen to be doing this versus kind of going, well, it's not my fault you didn't cancel it, so I'm a money grabbing company that's going to keep taking your money because you just don't care about it. So,
and again, sorry, I'll mention those words again. It's probably because of COVID-19. They're realizing that people don't have money and they want to do a nice thing.
yeah, that kind of bit. But I still think, yeah, there's a little bit of you pay for it. You should be aware you're paying for it.
Are they only doing this because Disney Plus has come on the scene and they're thinking we might want to do one nice thing over our competitors that are probably charging the same amount of money, and we have to be looked at the good company?
Because in the page you sent, we were looking at that article. It's actually quite. There's the facts right in the middle of it. It says Netflix added 16 million signups during the lockdown, and
Yeah.
Disney Plus racked up 50 million.
Have you played with now? Have you have a young child at home as well? Did you bother downloading the trial of Disney Plus?
No.
No.
I was saving it for a rainy day because we got a Now TV
Yeah.
Kids one instead.
Okay. And again, once more, I have complained in my last podcast episodes that, strangely enough, when this house was built, they never actually put in a TV aerial into the house. So I can't even get Fairview in my house. So I do everything over Vodafone TV and broadband and so forth. I could get a Sky satellite. I think it's lunatic to get a satellite dish in today's society where everything should be coming over by broadband anyways, and I can get Now TV as well if I wanted to through the internet connectivity. So it's I think if anything I would probably go down the route of getting a Now subscription at some stage, because I think it's best on offer.
Yeah, and that's what we pick and choose. And if we want a movie package, we get a movie package. If we don't, we just stick with the entertainment one and stuff like that. And it just seems to work fine. And like the kids one is kind of cool and it's quite cheap at the moment. So, but we'll
I'm
see.
still surprised how Sky haven't gone down the route of you do not need a satellite dish. We will give you all the channels and
Over their broadband. But then the thing is, when you go Sky, your broadband isn't actually over the dish. It's through the phone line.
yes,
And so it's still kind of weird, like
yeah.
but I say the same thing about so we're Virgin Media for our internet.
I
Why
love to be able to get Virgin. Yeah,
why does Virgin Media not offer a TV over the internet package? No, you have to buy the TV package and then you can get the TV over the internet. It's like, there's people like who, if you kind of go, well, I'd be willing to pay an extra X to get all the same TV stuff on the app.
Yes. Yeah.
But
But do you know what? If we're going to go down the GDPR route, and it's a topic and it's a conversation for a different show, right? The amount of people and employees who are using their own hardware to remote work and have not been given devices by their employers. So who is responsible if their computer is not up to security specifications that they would have in their workplace and connections and firewalls in their workplace, and they get hacked? Is it the employee's responsibility or is it the employer's? I'm not a legal expert. I don't know. If there's a legal expert that wants to come on the podcast and explain who is at fault there, be my guest. Come along and talk.
But most of the time, I think it's also reputational damage.
Yes.
It's probably a bigger thing than actual just oh, there was an actual breach because I was using a personal computer for sending stuff on, and it's,
Or let's say people working remotely and they're in a coffee shop and they are using their personal device and they haven't got a lockdown, or someone hacks in while they're, when we eventually open up coffee shops or so forth, or even don't actually let's even go with using their own personal mobile phone to look at their emails, and somehow or other they leave their mobile phone
yeah,
or lose their mobile phone while walking along on their 2 kilometer distance walk with their kids or something, or their kids take their mobile phone and do something stupid and leaves it open.
take a silly selfie and send it to the whole firm.
Yeah. Not that not that you're talking from experience or anything.
No, but you know,
But
like
yes,
those are just stupid things. And there's like all the training and stuff that's like um different companies do on ensuring like their phone is remote wipeable, their computers are remote wipeable, that you can only log
another
in.
poll, Simon,
Yeah.
that is really worthwhile doing before our next episode of All Things Techie. How many employees, and it'd be an anonymous poll, how many employees let their children use their work laptop because they're trying to download either school classroom plans or whatever, and they don't have a personal device at home otherwise, or this is their personal device that they're using for work, but they're also using it
For school.
And that could be the data breach right there.
And there's lots of people also who just nowadays don't even have computers at home because they've only mobile phones or tablets.
Yeah.
And stuff. So they have to, if they want to do schoolwork, they have to use their work laptop or whatever the case may be. So, yeah.
Or I'd say any IT department that would like to admit when things go back to normal, or they probably are getting these calls already, that tech support of my work computer isn't working. What went wrong? Oh, well, my son or daughter downloaded something that they thought was a school document and it was a virus. I say that's going to happen much, much more. And that's where the cases of GDPR could ramp up if things are pushed. This is only a starting point, I think, going after the big giants of Twitter and so forth. If they're going down this route, the smaller cases are going to be like my crystal ball thought on that. That's a weird way to end the show of episode 26 of the All Things Techie podcast. Simon, we're really looking forward to hearing about different things that you're going to be working on along the sea. Actually, before we go, we should have to mention the fact that, you know, conferences we talked about has working changed. The one great thing about this working remotely and everything, yeah, conferences are great for networking, but so many AV conferences have been opened up free of charge, including training and everything. I guess you've had more time to actually do more training now.
Like I've attended a couple of training courses and learned about new products, and even just to spend time learning before where you'd read the data note, maybe the reports after a webinar or product release. Now you can actually watch it and stuff like that. And yeah, like it's great. And because there's even like a VIXA training was opened up there to all levels of membership. Their CETA training was opened there as well. Then
You and I both did a course recently that you said that it really interested you, which was the QSIS material.
yeah, the QSIS stuff is really interesting, and it's a different way of working that it's I wouldn't say it's an equal to Crestron, but it's definitely a big player in that field of how easily some things can be done, and the future of maybe I don't have to be a Crestron master or of a level to be able to set up a decent enough room, but I
And in different
understand there's
ways, the
still a
timing
need.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I
question
still think I
name.
think you need question of a name for reliability and great products. So don't get me wrong, that I'm still a major fan of their stuff, but I still think this is quite an interesting other player in the market. I know Biamp are trying to get into this field a bit more, and a few of the others. AMX, I think AMX are just not there at all at the moment.
They're trying to push, but they're not.
They're just not. The Harman Group, I think, has become nearly so big.
Yes, yeah. With,
Um,
yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. But the nice thing on a higher end of things is Extron has still got the courses opened up. Kramer have the courses. It irritates me that Crestron have what I consider, and I've said it before, a closed shop on allowing AV technicians to be able to. It takes so long to try and get onto their courses. That's my personal impression. Now, maybe it's because I work in higher ed. I don't know, but I just find it's very hard to get onto the right courses if you want to learn the right materials.
yeah, I actually even found I struggled to find where to look. Sometimes there's nearly too many. It's a bit like going to ISE and you're walking in the door and you're hit with, you go into one hall and you're hit with like 50 brands
Yes.
in one go, and you're going, no, come to my stand, no, come to my stand, no, I come to stand. And I think it's a little bit like that with training at the moment too. It's like, come to my course, come to my webinar. I could fill a whole day every day attending training courses, but the problem is,
I'm the same. And
yeah,
unfortunately, a lot of these webinars that you attend, it's 20% learning about something that you didn't know. The rest is a sales-driven, product-driven push about if you buy this product, you can learn more about how to do X, Y, and Z. To say, no, I just wanted that 20 minutes at the start. And yeah, okay, they have to still sell products. I understand that. But yes, I agree. You could actually fill the whole day going from one to the other.
or I find is I actually spend most of my afternoons with training because a lot of them are driven from the US time zone.
Yeah.
So I find I'm jumping on quick calls from kind of 2 o'clock onwards to trying to 2 o'clock to 5:30, which then you're kind of going, well, I have to be up for calls in the morning, so I can't start late.
The best words after attending a meeting: this meeting is recorded and we'll send you the details. Great. I have to go now. Yeah. And unfortunately, that is the reality. But, it's because of the time zone difference here in Ireland for a lot of the webinars. Are you going to join in with IC 2020? That's going to be virtual, the Infocom 2020?
Yeah, I signed up for that, and just to see, I was like looking through the program and seeing what's on it and stuff like that. So there's a few good things that I'm not going to attend all of it, of course.
Of course, yeah. But there is, again, and that's the pick and the nice feeling of being able to pick and choose, knowing that you haven't made a flight to the other side from Ireland to America. Yes, networking and everything would be fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I still want to do a physical Infocom when the dust settles, listeners, as do I want to do an ISE in Barcelona when everything's moved. But the fact of the matter is that you're able to virtually pick and choose. It's not costing you any money to attend any of these, so why not sign up?
Because I'd be also interested, because for that Infocom, like they've only really released the training tracks. They haven't released any of the manufacturer tracks yet, so So it'll be interesting to see what's going to come out of that, because there's all the big people are going to be at that. So it'll be, I don't know when they start announcing, well, Crestron are going to run these ones or whatever. So there could be quite a lot in that space.
And the AV over IT Summit is also gone as a virtual environment. Some of the stuff looked very cool, like where they had the photos of the whole of what it would be like if it was virtual. I don't know if they're going to be that type of walking around virtually or just attending the webinars. Either way, I signed up to it. I'm looking forward to that one as well. There's so many coming on, and like that, I'm getting emails every day. But going back to what you were saying, that like even walking the stores and so much of the same stuff, I'm noticing now a ramp of emails that I get saying, "Oh, have you tried our new learning management software?" There's so many people that's designing new learning management softwares that, to do online blended learning, and I think they're aiming it at the higher ed and the educational market as well, to try and come on board with them, and look, a lot of these universities are signed up for years and years of using the same LMS software as a tender. So I don't think anyone's going to change that approach. But it's interesting times ahead to see how courses that haven't been delivered online are going to be delivered online.
Yeah, because it'd be interesting to go back to have a look to see, does that Cambridge University release any more information about how they're doing their courses?
Well, one I have to say I have loved. I did the X20 or HBX is the website for Harvard Online and how they do their virtual classrooms. I'll put a link up on the show notes. I did a demo of it during 2 weeks ago. Unbelievable software and hardware that goes into play with how I think I was told they spent 5 million on the actual setup. But when you are able to join a class virtually with having students from every corner of the world, and those students can see everyone else in the room, and I don't mean just a Zoom call, I mean physically see like a room on the other side of the globe, I think that is outstanding. And then the actual lecturer in the room can hear a sound separation of all the students that could be in the room, and they did it for 200 plus students. Fantastic piece of software and hardware. I think that is the future of like lecture theory.
Yeah. And I think some of these, these universities that have been popping up all around the place that are mainly all online universities, now they're ahead of the major universities that were like your Trinities and your UCDs and all those DCUs in Ireland. And they're all of a sudden, like, now they're trying to learn from them of how college classes are going to be. So it is going to be interesting.
And also interesting for any integrator to try and teach the end user how to use these types of software, because a lot of faculty are just used to having a whiteboard and a pen.
Or old acetates.
Or old acetates. They still exist. There's still there's still overhead projectors in different ways, shapes, and forms that are being created and used in higher education. It's an interesting time, and we could talk about that even as a whole show. And there's even podcasts, competitor podcasts that talk about that all the time. But we're going to leave it there. Simon, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the All Things TechIE podcast. If you want to get Simon, you can get him on Twitter at SimonLangAV. You can get me, Justin Dawson, at Justin or Dawson. We have a joint Twitter handle called at AV Tech Junkies. We also contribute to the hashtag AV in the AM, and you can visit our website for how to subscribe at www.allthingstech.ie. Any interesting things that you're going to be joining next week, Simon, or are you just going to continue on with your training in your new job role?
Yeah, that's really it. It's just learning and just listening to people and maybe pick up some new cool things that I never had to learn before. So
I keep on asking, when do I get the physical swag, Simon? When are you going to share some physical swag with me?
Whenever I get it first.
The All Things TechIE podcast is a product of the Extreme Media Network. For advertising and sponsorship opportunities, please visit www.extrememedia.ie. That's XTREME media.ie.